The tale of Silly Willy and the whimsical Wonderland. Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there was a town called Giggletown, where laughter echoed through the streets, and silliness was the order of the day. In Giggletown lived Silly Willy, the quirkiest character you could ever imagine. Silly Willy had a peculiar talent. He could make the most serious person burst into fits of laughter with just one of his goofy faces. His favorite spot was the town square, where he would perform his legendary silly shimmy dance that left everyone in stitches. One sunny day, as Silly Willy was perfecting his latest silly dance move, a mysterious portal opened before him. Out stepped a dapper-looking rabbit dressed in a top hat and a waistcoat. The rabbit introduced himself as Whiskerington, the guardian of the whimsical Wonderland. Whiskerington, Silly Willy, your silliness has been heard far and wide in the whimsical Wonderland. We need your help. Our laughter flowers are wilting, and the tickleberries have lost their tickle. The entire land is in need of your unique talent. Silly Willy, always up for an adventure, nodded enthusiastically and followed Whiskerington through the portal. As they entered the whimsical Wonderland, Silly Willy was greeted by a chorus of giggles from talking trees and snickering clouds. The landscape was a delightful mix of cotton candy trees, chocolate rivers, and bubblegum mountains. Everywhere you looked, everything seemed to have a mischievous grin. Their first stop was the Tickleberry Fields, where Whiskerington explained the predicament. Whiskerington, Silly Willy, we need your silliness to revive the tickleberries. Only then can we restore the laughter flowers and bring joy back to the whimsical Wonderland. Silly Willy wasted no time. He pulled out his trusty rubber chicken, did a little jig, and sprinkled a dash of his secret giggle dust over the tickleberries. Lo and behold, the tickleberries started wiggling and giggling, their laughter spreading throughout the land. With the tickleberries restored, Silly Willy and Whiskerington moved onto the laughter flower meadow. The flowers, usually vibrant and lively, were drooping with sadness. Silly Willy decided it was time for his grand finale, the Super Silly Symphony. As Silly Willy danced and twirled, the laughter flowers perked up, and a cascade of colorful laughter erupted, filling the whimsical Wonderland with joy once more. The clouds giggled, the trees chuckled, and even the chocolate river seemed to ripple with laughter. Whiskerington, Silly Willy, you've saved the day. The whimsical Wonderland is indebted to your silliness. We shall celebrate with a grand silly parade in your honor. And so, Silly Willy led the whimsical parade with tickleberries, laughter flowers, and all the peculiar creatures of the Wonderland joining in the fun. The laughter echoed through the portal, reaching Giggletown, where the townsfolk joined the merriment, creating the most uproarious celebration the two lands had ever seen. From that day forward, Silly Willy became the honorary guardian of laughter, ensuring that silliness and joy spread far and wide in both Giggletown and the whimsical Wonderland. And they all lived happily and hilariously ever after. And so ends the tale of Silly Willy and the whimsical Wonderland. A story filled with laughter, tickles, and a dash of the delightfully absurd. The great pancake happer in a town where pancakes were the talk of the morning, lived a mischievous little pancake named Flapjack. Unlike ordinary pancakes, Flapjack had a knack for flipping himself out of the frying pan and embarking on wild adventures. One day, as the townsfolk were preparing for the annual pancake parade, Flapjack decided he wanted to be the star of the show. With a determined flip, he catapulted himself out of the kitchen window and into the bustling streets. As Flapjack wobbled through the town, leaving a trail of giggles in his wake, he encountered a group of syrup bottles who were having a syrupy conversation. Syrup Bottle 1. Oh my, look who's flipping into town. It's Flapjack, the daring pancake. Syrup Bottle 2. What's he up to this time? Flapjack, overhearing their chatter, decided he needed a grand entrance for the pancake parade. He hopped onto a passing butter pat skateboard and zoomed through the pancake-stacked streets, shouting, "I'm the flipping king of Fluffy Town." The townsfolk, accustomed to Flapjack's antics, chuckled and joined the impromptu parade. Flapjack flipped and twirled, creating a pancake spectacle that had everyone in stitches. Unbeknownst to Flapjack, Mayor Maple, the esteemed syrup leader, was watching from the balcony of Syrup Castle. Mayor Maple, Flapjack's antics are causing quite the stir. Perhaps it's time for a pancake intervention. With a stroke of his syrup-stained beard, Mayor Maple summoned the Pancake Patrol A. Team of Pancake police officers with spatula badges and syrup squirt guns. Pancake Officer 1. We've got a runaway Flapjack on the loose. Let's Pancake pin him down. Pancake Officer 2. And syrup him with kindness, of course. The Pancake Patrol chased Flapjack through the pancake-stacked streets, creating a comical pancake pursuit. Flapjack, sensing the syrupy squeeze closing in, made a daring flip onto a stack of whipped cream pillows. Mayor Mabel, realizing that Flapjack just wanted to be part of the parade, called off the pursuit and declared Flapjack the Grand Marshal of the Pancake Parade. Flapjack, atop a pancake float, led the parade with pride. The townsfolk cheered, and even the Pancake Patrol couldn't help but join in the laughter. As the sun set on Fluffy Town, Mayor Maple proclaimed, "Let it be known that every pancake, no matter how mischievous, has a place in our pancake-loving hearts." And so, the Great Pancake Caper became a legendary tale, with Flapjack forever remembered as the flipping king of Fluffy Town. The wacky wonders of Whiskerville, in a town called Whiskerville, where whimsy was the way of life, lived a peculiar inventor named Professor Quirkington. Known for his wild inventions, Professor Quirkington had a laboratory filled with contraptions that defied the laws of normality. One day, the townsfolk woke up to find that their houses had sprouted giant colorful propellers overnight. Confused and intrigued, they gathered in the town square, where Professor Quirkington stood proudly. Beside his latest creation, the Whiz-O-Matic house spinner. Professor Quirkington. Greetings, fine folks of Whiskerville. I present to you my masterpiece, the Whiz-O-Matic house spinner. Your homes will now have the pleasure of a daily spin, bringing joy and excitement to your everyday lives. The townsfolk exchanged puzzled glances, but before they could object, Professor Quirkington pressed the giant, candy-colored button, and the entire town began to spin. Houses twirled, trees pirouetted, and the lampposts did the cha-cha. As the townsfolk tried to adapt to their topsy-turvy homes, they discovered unexpected benefits. No longer did they need to walk to their neighbors' houses. A simple spin would bring them right next door. And doing laundry became a breeze as clothes dried mid-spin. The Whiz-O-Matic house spinner turned Whiskerville into a whirlwind of laughter and joy. Residents even organized a Spin-A-Palooza festival where they competed in house decorating contests, synchronized spinning routines, and dizzying dance-offs. However, not everyone was thrilled. Mayor Twizzlebottom, who preferred a more sedate lifestyle, marched over to Professor Quirkington's laboratory. Mayor Twizzlebottom, Professor Quirkington, this spinning spectacle has to stop. It's causing mayhem in our peaceful town. Professor Quirkington, wearing a twirling bounty, replied, "Nonsense, Mayor. The Whiz-O-Matic house spinner brings happiness to Whiskerville. Why, even the birds are chirping a merrier tune." But Mayor Twizzlebottom had a plan. He enlisted the help of Mrs. Whizzlewig, the town's expert in all things unquirky. "Mrs. Whizzlewig, fear not, Mayor. I have just the thing to counteract this spinning madness." Together, they unveiled the anti-spin zapper, a device that emitted a gentle hum, calming the whirlwind of Whiskerville. As the anti-spin zapper went into action, the town gradually slowed to a standstill. The houses settled, the lampposts stopped dancing, and the trees straightened up. Whiskerville returned to its charming, quirky self, but the townsfolk had learned to embrace the unexpected. They decided to keep the Whiz-O-Matic house spinner for an annual day of wacky wonders, ensuring that Whiskerville remained the quirkiest town in all the land. And so, with laughter echoing through the town square, the people of Whiskerville celebrated the joy of embracing the unexpected, a lesson they'd learned from the wacky wonders of Professor Quirkington's inventions. The marvelous mayhem in Mirthington, the whimsical town of Mirthington, where laughter was currency and giggles adorned every street corner, lived a zany inventor named Professor Chucklefizz. Eccentric and full of whimsy, Professor Chucklefizz had a laboratory that buzzed with the delightful chaos of his experiments. One peculiar morning, the residents of Mirthington awoke to discover their pets had been transformed into miniature flying elephants. Cats, dogs, hamsters all sporting tiny wings and trumpeting tiny tunes. The town square was abuzz with bewildered pet owners, who were soon joined by the jubilant Professor Chucklefizz. Professor Chucklefizz, greetings, dear Mirthingtonians. I present to you my latest invention, the Yelly Flymatic Pet Enhancer. Your furry friends can now spread joy and laughter as they soar through the skies. The townsfolk, unsure whether to laugh or fret, watched as the mini elephant pets zoomed around, leaving trails of glittering laughter in their wake. The sight was both enchanting and uproarious. As the townsfolk adjusted to their new aerial companions, they discovered unexpected perks. Walking the dog became a literal breeze, and cat owners marveled at the graceful flips their feline friends executed mid-air. The town even organized a pet parade in the clouds, where residents adorned their flying pets with tiny capes and costumes. However, not everyone in Mirthington was thrilled with the airborne animal antics. Mayor Gawforsworth, who prided himself on his impeccable moustache, strolled over to Professor Chucklefizz's laboratory, eyebrows raised in concern. Mayor Gawforsworth, Professor, this airborne pet pandemonium has to cease immediately. It's disrupting the tranquility of Mirthington. Professor Chucklefizz, twirling a propeller beanie, responded. Nonsense, Mayor. The yearly Flymatic Pet Enhancer brings levity to our lovely town. Look how your moustache is even more majestic when ruffled by the gentle breeze. Despite the mayor's objections, the townsfolk were enamored with their floating furry companions. CAF owners started offering pet-friendly sky seating, and the local bird population formed an unexpected alliance with the yearly Flymatic Pets, creating synchronized aerial displays. Determined to restore order, Mayor Gawforsworth sought the help of Miss Prudence, Mirthington's resident expert in all things proper. Miss Prudence, Mayor, fret not. I have just the solution to this whimsical conundrum. Together, they unveiled the Tranquility Tamer, a device emitting a serene melody that calmed the airborne mayhem. The pets gradually descended, fluttering to the ground like delicate confetti. As the tranquility settled over Mirthington, the townsfolk learned to balance their laughter and serenity in their lives. They decided to keep the yearly Flymatic Pet Enhancer for special occasions, ensuring that Mirthington remained a town where joy and tranquility coexisted harmoniously. And so, with laughter echoing through the town square and pets prancing on solid ground, Mirthington continued to revel in the marvelous mayhem that only Professor Chucklefizz's inventions could bring.
The